Basically, these two Survivor players were sitting up last night talking about how dumb Big Brother players are, which they are, because this show casts the dumbest people possible. What up, everybody? I am back to unfortunately have to talk about these Big Brother 28 live feeds where I am barely hanging on to watch. I have to say that we definitely have surpassed Small Stars Season 22 in boring live feeds. This is definitely the most boring live feed season of all time, where nothing really matters. We have gotten to the whose line is it anyway point of this season, where everything's made up and the gameplay doesn't matter because everything goes through the vets. I've been saying this every week that this season has been going on. Nothing truly matters this season. It really is all about who can kiss the vets' asses the most. Let's start with Dee and Devens talk, and then I'm going to talk about some other things, and I'll circle back to Dee and Devens talk. I talked about yesterday how it was a bad mistake for Devens, especially, to let go of Drew this week, because it's not good gameplay. Clearly, the DR has gotten to Dee and Devens when it comes to saving Drew, because everything that matters this season is who can save the vets, who can kiss the vets' asses, including production. It's been rigged from the beginning when only a returnee/vet can be an HOH and set up the power structure of the house. The two powers so far, who has them? Well, Devens and Dee. And now they have this conversation where clearly they're trying to talk around their diary room sessions. Devens afraid to ask a question because that's what it relates to.
I gotta be real careful with how I say this. That was
I get it.
And then Devens whispers in Dee's ear, and if you have headphones on, you can hear him talking about the DR. Because Dee has suddenly had an idea that they need to save Drew this week, even though it was the vet's idea in the first place to put him on the block and try and vote him out. But the DR has gotten in Dee's head to change that from happening, because it is stupid of the vets. It's especially stupid for Devens, and he's not even the one really spearheading this. Dee is. So yeah, that has changed. Before that happened, though, let's talk about a few other things. I mean, nothing on the feeds matter, so why are we talking about it? I don't really know anymore. But Angela now has Yash in mind as her next big target, because Yash has been joking about Angela's name being out there, and of course Angela doesn't like that. So Angela is now trying to start a target on Yash's back. I mean, can't blame Angela for that. Although her first big target, Drew, might not be going home this week. And suddenly Angela doesn't seem to care about that, which we'll get to. Because that doesn't make sense, does it? But again, does anything matter this season? Mallory is upset with Haley because Haley said that Mallory follows Lyric around like a puppy dog. Melody talking to Mallory about this, saying that Chuk is the one that follows Haley around like a puppy dog, which is an accurate assessment from Melody there. Mallory not understanding why Lyric is friends with Chuk, because Chuk is always shitting on Mallory, which he is. It was basically more of the same. Mallory and Melody, upset with Lyric for going around trying to make nice with the other side, throwing Mallory and Melody under the bus. But I don't feel bad for Mallory or Melody at all, because they keep trusting Drew, who has talked more shit about them this entire game than anyone else has, and certainly more than Lyric did this week. So who really gives a fuck? Mallory told Barrett that she doesn't like Chuk because Chuk wants her gun, saying it's messed up that he's after her when she hasn't done everything, talking about, I'm sorry that, Chuk doesn't have a crush on her like he has a crush on Lyric, which, is clocking it for Mallory, but also, again, it's hard for me to feel bad for Mallory and Melody when they have trusted Drew and Barrett this whole time. And they do not have Mallory and Melody's back at all. I have other notes here, but they don't really matter anymore because production is pushing this season. Nothing is naturally happening this season. We might as well just get back to Dee and Devens talking about changing the target. from Drew to either Melody or Lyric, most likely Melody. They didn't know if Angela was going to go for it or not. But like I said, there's been some very clear diary room interference. This whole conversation was muddled. Devens talking about the diary room. Certainly the diary room is trying to point them in the right direction, because this season is all about getting the vets to the end. I will be shocked if the 3 vets are not in the final 5. I would literally be shocked if Angela, Dee, Devens are not all in the final 5. Dee was worried how Angela would go about this. When Dee first brought it up to Angela, she was certainly more calm than you would think she would be, because like I've talked about for weeks now, Angela has been the main person pushing for Drew, being paranoid about Drew. It's the reason this target has been on Drew's back in the first place. So for Dee to run it by Angela about a change of plans, and for Angela to be totally receptive, it doesn't really make any sense, and it's definitely a complete personality change than Angela this entire game so far when it comes to Drew. So did the DR also get in Angela's head and try and push her in the right direction so that all of the vets can get to the end? Probably. There has been discussions from Kamu, Angela, Haley, if Lyric is actually the bigger threat. Do they keep her or get rid of her? Because Kamu doesn't think that Melody would be able to win anything. That's something. Barrett does believe that Barrett or Dee have the time capsule powers because it's the most logical thing. At least Barrett finally made a smart statement in the first time in 4 weeks talking with this about Mallory. So I guess that's something. Maybe Devens and Dee won't be able to keep their secret powers that secret, because it is the most obvious thing, because this season has been so lopsided in the vets' favor in every single way possible, from casting to powers to the first HOH. Dee's whole plan with Devens was, if they're going to keep Drew, how are they going to convince Kamu, Haley, Chuk that it's their idea to keep Drew? It was pretty easy though, because this cast is shit for brains. All they had to do was bring it up a little bit. And then when talking about Melody being a threat and how they just need to break up Melody or Drew this week, Haley was quick to say, well, if Melody is who we're talking about voting out, why don't we just vote out Melody? And so quickly things turned to voting out Melody over Drew. And Dee and Devens are then talking about how easy it was, much easier than they thought it would be, because they overestimate these people. Basically, these 2 Survivor players were sitting up last night talking about how dumb Big Brother players are, which they are, because this show casts the dumbest people possible. So Dee and Devens are clocking that this cast is full of idiots who think that other people in the house are to be underestimated, like Taylor, and that some people think they have Yash, that they might not have Yash. So it's pretty easy for Dee and Devens to switch from Drew being the target to not, because it was their idea for Drew to be the target in the first place. One of the only things I enjoyed about feeds yesterday, there was nothing I enjoyed about feeds yesterday. The literal only thing that gave me a little joy is that Angela told Lala that Drew is probably staying this week. And so Lala, who is a total non-factor in this entire game, found out this information before stupid ass Nothing Burger Barrett did, or Barrett, as some of you all call him. So that was great to see happen. Dee eventually did tell Barrett late into the night, because Devens wanted to tell Barrett first, but that hasn't happened. So Dee told Barrett that Drew is now not the target. The target is shifting. Barrett being one of the last to know, well, not really, but definitely the last to know in his big 8-person alliance, where he feels like he's on the bottom of, and he clearly has no agency in, but he keeps going along with it, because what is this season if not just playing for the vets instead of yourself? But yeah, Dee told Barrett, she told Barrett not to tell Devens that Dee told her, because Devens is supposed to tell him anyway. I don't know how Barrett is supposed to feel about this. I know he won't do shit about it, because he hasn't done shit yet, but for the past 48 hours, he's been dragging Drew's game to Mallory, because he thought Drew was the target, and he's just doing what the vets tell him to do. Barrett threw Drew under the bus to Mallory, saying that Drew is the first person last week who backed out of the Save Mallory plan. So, of course, Mallory's not going to feel too great about that Drew thought it was too risky to save Mallory last week if she would have stayed on the block. But I have no faith in any of these people at this point. Melody said a very true statement yesterday, saying there are 3 TV icons and then none of us got to play in the first HOH. It kind of fucked everything from the start. Yeah, a very, very true statement on how this season has unfolded. So in the end, to sum it up, the rigging has been very blatant this season for the vets. Clearly, by how the first HOH was designed, only one of them could be HOH. They got to set up the first power structure. Then the powers have gone to both Dee and Devens. And now Angela's reaction to the news of Drew staying makes zero sense. You know, Dee and Devens had a convo about the diary room and how it was responsible for Dee thinking they should keep Drew because it is best for Devens' game. But then we've seen Angela for weeks be obsessed with getting Drew out. And it's finally going to happen. And then Angela is calm receiving the news that Drew's staying this week. The target is shifting. Yeah, because there's no way DR must have talked to Angela too. So we are now 4 weeks in, and there's not a single thing about the Vets game that is natural. Not a single thing. Nothing has been natural about the Vets game this season. Only one of them could be the first HOH. 2 of them gotten powers. Angela's not even having a natural reaction to Drew possibly staying this week. And so I say nothing matters because I have other things in my notes like, you know, Taylor and Lala finally talking about how the other side is spreading information to try and get them to turn on each other, which is true. But I don't even care to talk about this because it doesn't matter. Nothing matters this season except for who can kiss the most vet ass, who can help the vets win. That's it. What a competition to witness.